Hey everyone, it's Ryder from Skip. It's Monday, May 24th. I hope you're doing well and I hope you had a great weekend. A very important video today. I'm going to talk about alternatives to the EIDL grants, specifically the targeted and supplemental programs, which the vast majority of you are still waiting for. I have lots of new data to share on the progress. I will mention that again. There is a lot there, but it continues to be quite surprising. So if you are waiting for anything EIDL related, be sure to watch until the end. And if you are tired of waiting and you want to seriously look at alternatives for these programs, I'll go over some of those towards the end of this video. Thank you so much for subscribing and supporting our channel. It means so much. If you're new, hit subscribe, turn on alerts, and like this video so more people see it. Our team worked all weekend to not only research new grants, new loans, new funding opportunities, but also go through YouTube and the comments to get rid of a lot of the spammers. So we're continuing to do as much as possible to help you. And as always, if you have ideas, suggestions, comments, please leave them in the comments. Nearly 500,000 people have used our EIDL grant and loan lookup tool. It's at helloskip.com/EIDL-data. It's a great idea to go check it out if you haven't yet, to see if your business is there and the correct information is there, and to share with a friend. You know, the SBA has said they want to make sure that they have covered their bases when it comes to fraud, that people haven't stolen your identity and gotten an EIDL grant or EIDL loan without your permission or without you knowing. Let me jump right to the data. This report was released towards the end of the day on Friday. I covered it Saturday. A few main takeaways. Okay, I'll start with the targeted. This is shocking. This Thursday, it will have been 5 months since the December relief bill was signed into law. It was signed into law December 27th. $20 billion for targeted EIDL advances. Well, look at this. This is the latest data. Only 110,000 targeted advances have been funded for just around $900 million. That is less than 5% of the total funding. If you look back at last year, at the original EIDL advances, $20 billion set aside through the CARES Act, $20 billion distributed by the SBA in less than 3 months. Basically, that was distributed within the first month and a half or so, but they closed applications officially after 3 months, and they said, many of you will have to wait, we ran out of funding. Well, look at this, 5 months in, less than 5% has been allocated. This is still a huge mystery to me. You know, I've covered this nonstop. I do give the SBA the benefit of the doubt. They had to make certain changes. They improved the portal. You know, on the portal, you can now see your advanced status, your targeted status, your supplemental status. They asked you to submit your 4506T before and other information and documents such as your 2019 gross revenue, your 2020 gross revenue, and confirm your address. So those were all built to ensure that you qualify for the targeted EIDL advance based on the legislation. The legislation was very prescriptive. 3 main ways that you as a business would qualify for the targeted EIDL advance, essentially topping up to $10,000. Low-income community, we built a low-income community lookup within 2 weeks of the law being signed. 30% revenue decline over an 8-week period, pretty basic math, and 10 or fewer employees, also fairly basic. Yet, for whatever reason, this is the progress 5 months in. You know, I've gone state by state and talked about some of the surprises. Alaska, less than 150 advances have been funded in Alaska. Hawaii, less than 600. Idaho, less than 300. In fact, I did a post over the weekend where I put up all this data. If you want to go take a look at this, and we are beginning to track all this data week by week. So tomorrow we will have a post where you can quickly find your state and see the week by week progress based on the reporting. But here it was. Last week, SBA only approved around 6,000 new targeted EIDL grants. That's less than 1,000 new ones per day. That's why we see numbers like this. Okay, the good news was that supplemental advances were approved at a much faster rate. Nearly 40,000 were approved last week. Let me go back to the report here. I'll scroll down to targeted. We can see it's around 50,000 supplemental have been funded. The previous week, it was around 12,000. So it's almost 5x what it was the previous week. That's good news. That's good news, and around $250 million has been distributed for this as well. The bad news is that 50,000 is basically half of the targeted. And what we know about the process is people get the supplemental invite if they have been approved for the targeted. So what we're seeing here is around 100,000 have been approved for targeted advances, and of those 100,000, 50,000 have been approved for the extra 5,000. So we more or less are talking about 100,000 small business owners that have been helped by these programs and millions of you are still waiting. According to our poll last week with around 5,000 responses, 92% of you are still waiting for your EIDL loan increase. I'll talk about that more next time. I just want to give this context again. As always, I know you are all being incredibly patient with this process, but to be honest, this is incredibly surprising that only 110,000 targeted advances have been funded. In that same time period, millions of PPP loans have been funded. I believe around $300 billion has been distributed for the PPP this year, a massive amount of money. Obviously, all of that was through CDFIs or private lenders and not the SBA distributing the money, just approving. But I still expect better results, so we'll see when the report comes out this week if they pick it up. Finally, here are 4 EIDL grant alternatives. On our app, we cover grants throughout the week. We post them. It is highly worth it. Just go to our app, Hello Skip, in the App Store and Google Play. We put up new grants this morning. You can take a look. Just hit See New Grants or click the link in the description. But there are national grants that we cover that are worthwhile. Again, a lot of these are on the app. There's GoFundMe, Small Business Relief Program. There's a link to this. While they don't have the massive amount of funding that the SBA does, they're still sizable and they are still worth going after. Number 2, a low interest loan. Obviously, that's not a grant, but it is worth considering depending on obviously your business situation, if you could use the cash flow for certain things or not. We cover lots of low interest loans. We have a few good partners as well, so you can read more about that. The third is a line of credit. We've partnered again with fintech companies who will help you with a line of credit, including Fundbox. They offer low interest lines of credit up to $150,000. And the fourth is a business credit card. There are many business credit cards and many of them have perks as well when you sign up. We have a link to the best business credit cards of 2021. And again, more grant programs are on the app. But those are a few alternatives for you. We obviously know that you would rather have the good news for getting the targeted advance and supplemental advance because those are grants. You don't have to repay them. But we do know at a certain point the frustration becomes too much and you'd rather take the time to either go after a low interest loan or go after something else rather than sit around and wait. Finally, as I end today's video, the SBA does issue guidance if you see EIDL grant errors on your portal. I talked about this last week. I will just reiterate once more. If your bank rejected EIDL advance funds, which some banks have done, such as Chime, they had flagged the payments, so they rejected them and the payments went back to the SBA. The SBA is aware of this. They are solving it, and you will not lose your place in the queue. We've posted details here if your advance funds were returned by banks. Go check your portal. It's always a good idea every few days, check your portal if you're still waiting for something, whether that's one of the grants or the loan increase. Keep an eye on your portal because obviously we are watching it hour by hour and we will let you know if there are changes, but it's a good idea to see if anything popped up, if there's any more action for you to take. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Be sure to subscribe, turn on those alerts, and like this video so more people see it and get the help they need. Most importantly, stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you tomorrow.